The most valuable word in the English language might just be one you've been taught to avoid. It's simple, just 2 letters. But most people find it harder to say than words with 5 syllables. That word is no. You see, your life is built decision by decision, and every time you say yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else. That's just how time works. There are only 24 hours in your day, just like everyone else's. The question is, are you filling those hours with your priorities or someone else's? I've watched thousands of people over the years, successful ones, struggling ones. And I noticed something interesting. The successful ones aren't necessarily saying yes to more opportunities. Often they're just better at saying no to the wrong ones. Now, I'm not talking about being negative. I'm talking about being selective. There's a big difference. One leads to isolation, the other leads to success. When was the last time you said no to something without following it up with a lengthy explanation? Without feeling that twist of guilt in your stomach? Without worrying what the other person might think of you? If you're like most people, you can't remember, because we've been conditioned to believe that saying no is somehow impolite or selfish. But let me tell you something that might change your life. Your no doesn't require an explanation. And once you understand that, you'll find a kind of freedom you never knew existed. When you learn to say no without justifying yourself, you take back control of your life. And control of your life is where all good things begin. Think about it. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're making a withdrawal from your own life. You're giving away pieces of your most valuable assets, your time. And unlike money, you can't earn more time. Once it's spent, it's gone forever. I've seen so many people run themselves ragged saying yes to every request, every favor, every opportunity that comes their way. They say yes to their boss who asks them to work late. They say yes to friends who need a favor. They say yes to family members who want more of their time. They say yes to committees and boards and volunteer opportunities. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they never have time for the things that matter most to them. They wonder why their biggest goals remain unfulfilled. They wonder why they feel so exhausted, so burnt out, so resentful. They have been saying yes too often and to the wrong things. Every yes comes with a cost. Sometimes that cost is obvious. S is your time, your energy, your focus. But sometimes the cost is hidden. The projects you'll never start, the dreams you'll never pursue, the relationships you'll never nurture because you're too busy fulfilling obligations you didn't really want in the first place. You know, I had a friend who was the nicest guy you'd ever meet. He'd drop everything to help you move furniture, to drive you to the airport, to listen to your problems. Everyone loved him because he never said no. But do you know what happened to him? His own dreams got pushed aside. His own needs went unmet. His own goals gathered dust because he was too busy saying yes to everyone else's priorities. Don't let that happen to you. You owe yourself more than that. Now, why do we feel this need to explain ourselves when we say no? Why do we feel we need to justify our decisions to others? It starts early. As children, we're taught to be agreeable, to be helpful, be kind. These are wonderful qualities. But somewhere along the way, some of us learned that saying no means being disagreeable, unhelpful, or unkind. And that's simply not true. We also fear judgment. We worry that if we say no without a good enough reason, people will think less of us. They'll think we're selfish or lazy or uncaring. And so we scramble to find excuses, to craft explanations that will make our no acceptable in their eyes. But here's the truth. Most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. They're wrapped up in their own lives, their own concerns, their own priorities. Your no is a momentary disappointment, quickly forgotten as they move on to the next person who might say yes. And those who would judge you harshly for protecting your time and energy, those who would make you feel guilty for prioritizing your well-being and your goals, well, perhaps those aren't the people whose opinions should matter to you anyway. There's another reason we over-explain our refusals. We've been conditioned to believe that no is a complete sentence only for those in positions of power. The boss can say no without explanation. The customer can say no without justification. But the employee, the service provider, the friend, the family member, they need to have a reason. They need to have an excuse. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Your time belongs to you. Your energy belongs to you. Your life belongs to you. And you don't need anyone's permission to protect what's yours. Let's talk about the true value of your time. Not what others think it's worth, but what it's really worth. Your time is the currency of your life. Every minute you spend is gone forever. You can't save it for later. You can't get it back, and you certainly can't make more of it. All you can do is choose how to spend what you have. When you understand the real value of your time, saying no becomes not just easier, but necessary. Because every minute you spend on something that doesn't align with your values or move you toward your goals is a minute wasted. Think about the greatest achievements in history, the greatest inventions, the greatest works of art, the greatest businesses. None of them happened by accident. They happened because someone chose to say no to distractions and yes to focused effort. Michelangelo didn't paint the Sistine Chapel in his spare time. Between doing favors for friends and attending meetings that could have been emails, no, he dedicated himself to his craft. He protected his time fiercely. He said no to anything that would take him away from his work. The same is true for any successful person you admire. They didn't achieve greatness by saying yes to everything. They achieved it by saying no to almost everything except the few things that mattered most. Now, I'm not suggesting you become a hermit or turn your back on the people you care about. Relationships are one of life's greatest treasures. But even in relationships, boundaries are necessary. In fact, the healthiest relationships are those where both parties respect each other's right to say no without demands for explanation or justification. Think about your own life. What are your priorities? What are your goals? What are the things that at the end of your life you'll wish you had given more time to? Now ask yourself, how much of your day is currently dedicated to those things? If the answer is not enough, then you need to get better at saying no to the things that are filling your time instead. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Make sure you're saying yes to the right things. You know, I've had the privilege of studying successful people for decades, and one thing I've noticed is how they guard their time. They understand its value in a way that most people don't. Warren Buffett, one of the world's most successful investors, once said the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say on almost everything. Think about that. The difference isn't that very successful people do more. It's that they do less, but they do the right things. They focus their time and energy on what matters most. They say no to everything else. Steve Jobs was famous for his focus. When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company was making dozens of products, none of them particularly well. One of the first things Jobs did was cut the product line down to just 4 categories. He said no to everything else. And that focus turned Apple from a company on the brink of bankruptcy into one of the most valuable companies in the world. Saying yes to everything is a recipe for mediocrity. When you spread yourself too thin, you can't excel at anything. When you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, least of all yourself. I've met so many people who were afraid to say no to their boss, to their clients, to their colleagues. They feared that saying no would damage their career prospects, would make them seem uncooperative or not a team player. But the most respected professionals aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who deliver exceptional results on the things they commit to. And they do that by being selective about what they take on. When you say yes to everything, you become known as the person who will do anything, but not necessarily the person who will do anything well. When you learn to say no, you become known as the person who delivers excellence on the things you commit to. Which reputation would you rather have? The same principle applies in your personal life. When you say yes to every social invitation, every request for help, every demand on your time, you become spread so thin that you can't be fully present for any of it. You're there in body, but not in spirit. You go through the motions, but don't make a real impact. But when you're selective, when you choose carefully where to invest your time and energy, you can be fully present. You can give your best, You can make a real difference. And paradoxically, you become more valued, not less. So why is it so hard for us to say no? What's the fear that holds us back? For many, it's the fear of disapproval. We want to be liked. We want to be accepted. We're social creatures, after all. And from an early age, we learn that saying yes gets us approval, while saying no often gets us the opposite. But seeking approval from others is a losing game. Because the truth is, not everyone is going to like you, no matter what you do. Some people will dislike you for saying no. Others will dislike you for saying yes. Some will dislike you simply because of who you are, regardless of what you say or do. Once you accept that universal approval is impossible, it becomes easier to make decisions based not on what others will think, but on what's truly right for you. For others, the fear is deeper. It's the fear of not being enough. We think that by saying yes to everything, we can prove our worth. We can show that we're valuable, that we're needed, that we matter. But your worth isn't determined by how many yeses you give. It's not measured by how much you do for others or how busy your calendar is. Your worth is intrinsic. It's part of who you are, not what you do. And ironically, when you try to prove your worth by saying yes to everything, you often end up feeling even less worthy because you can't possibly fulfill all those commitments well. You end up dropping balls, disappointing people, and confirming your own deepest fears about your inadequacy. But when you recognize your intrinsic worth, when you understand that you don't need to earn your place in the world, saying no becomes easier. Because you're no longer trying to prove anything. You're simply making the choices that are right for you. Some of us fear the consequences of saying no. We worry that opportunities will dry up, that doors will close, that bridges will burn. And yes, sometimes saying no does close a door, but it opens others. Every no creates space for a better yes. Every opportunity declined creates room for a better opportunity to come along. Think about it this way. If your life is already full of okay things, how will you ever have room for the exceptional things? Sometimes you have to clear space in your life before the best opportunities can find their way to you. So now, let's talk about breaking the habit of over-explaining. Because that's what it is, a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken with awareness and practice. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your priorities, simply say, "I'm sorry, but I won't be able to do that." That's it. No explanation needed. If they press you for a reason, you can say, "I have other commitments." You don't need to specify what those commitments are. They could be commitments to your work, to your family, to your health, or simply to yourself. Remember, "I don't want to do" is a valid reason, even if it's not one you need to voice out loud. Your time is yours to allocate as you see fit. You don't have to justify your choices to anyone. Now, I know this feels uncomfortable at first. You might feel rude or abrupt. You might worry what the other person is thinking. That's normal. But with practice, it gets easier. And the results, the freedom, the focus, the ability to dedicate yourself fully to what matters most are worth the initial discomfort. Think of it this way. Every time you say no without over-explaining, you're building a muscle. The muscle of self-respect, the muscle of boundary setting, the muscle of prioritization. And like any muscle, it gets stronger with use. You're also teaching others how to treat you. When you feel the need to explain and justify every no, you're sending the message that your decisions require external validation. When you simply state your no, firmly and respectfully, you're sending the message that you trust your own judgment and expect others to respect it too. One technique that can help is to prepare a few go-to phrases that you can use when you need to decline something. Having these ready can prevent you from falling into the trap of over-explaining in the moment. Phrases. "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not able to commit to that right now. I appreciate the opportunity, but it's not the right fit for me at this time. I need to pass on this one, but I hope it goes well." Notice that none of these include a specific reason. They simply state your decision clearly and respectfully. Another technique is to buy yourself time. Instead of feeling pressured to say yes on the spot, say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. This gives you space to consider whether the request aligns with your priorities and to formulate a polite no if it doesn't. Remember, you're not obligated to respond to every request immediately. Taking time to consider your response isn't rude, it's responsible. It shows that you take your commitment seriously. When you do say no, say it once and stick to it. Don't leave the door open if you don't intend to walk through it. Don't say not right now, but maybe later if you really mean no, not ever. That kind of hedge might seem kinder in the moment, but it's actually cruel because it gives false hope. Be direct, be clear, and be firm. A clean break heals faster than a drawn, maybe. And here's something important. When you say no, don't apologize excessively. A simple, I'm sorry, but I can't is sufficient. Repeated apologies undermine your decision and invite the other person to try to change your mind. Remember, you're not doing anything wrong by saying no. You're simply making a choice about how to use your time and energy. And that's not just your right, it's your responsibility. Now let's talk about the respect that comes from setting clear boundaries. Because that's what saying no without over-explaining is really about. It's about setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. When you set clear boundaries, people know where they stand with you. There's no ambiguity, no false expectations. And contrary to what you might fear, most people respect clear boundaries. They might not like them. They might wish you had different ones, but they respect them. Think about the people you respect most in your own life. I bet they're people who know what they stand for, who have clear values and priorities, who don't bend with every wind that blows. There are people who can say no when necessary without apology or excessive explanation. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Setting boundaries often means disappointing people in the short term, but in the long term, it leads to healthier, more authentic relationships. Because the relationships are based on reality, not on a fictitious version of yourself that you can't sustain. When you say yes to everything, you're not really being kind. You're being dishonest. You're pretending to have capacity that you don't have. You're making promises that you can't keep without compromising your well-being or the quality of your work. True kindness isn't about saying yes to everything. It's about being honest about what you can and can't do. It's about showing up fully for the commitments you do make rather than spreading yourself so thin that you're barely there at all. And here's the thing about respect. It has to start with self-respect. If you don't respect your own time and energy, why should anyone else? If you don't believe that your needs and priorities matter, why should anyone else? When you learn to say no without feeling the need to explain yourself, you're demonstrating self-respect. You're showing that you value yourself enough to protect your time and energy, and that self-respect radiates outward, influencing how others perceive and treat you. I've seen this transformation happen countless times. People who were once doormats saying yes to everything, always putting themselves last, learn to set boundaries. They learn to say no without guilt or excessive explanation. And suddenly they find that people are treating them differently, with more respect, more consideration, more regard for their time and energy. It's not magic. It's simply the natural result of starting to value yourself. When you do, others follow suit. Let me share with you some stories of people whose lives were transformed when they learned to say no without explaining themselves. There was Sarah, a talented graphic designer who was always swamped with work. She said yes to every project that came her way, regardless of the timeline, the budget, or her own workload. She feared that if she said no to anything, the opportunities would dry up and her career would suffer. As a result, she was constantly overworked, perpetually stressed, and the quality of her work was beginning to decline. She was on the verge of burnout. Then she made a decision. She would only take on projects that met certain criteria. They had to be interesting, they had to pay well, and they had to fit into her schedule without requiring nights and weekends. And when projects didn't meet those criteria, she would simply say, "I'm not available for this project, but thank you for thinking of me." The first few times were terrifying. She was sure she was committing career suicide. But a funny thing happened. The world didn't end. Some clients went elsewhere, yes. But others respected her boundaries and adjusted their expectations accordingly. And word got around that she was selective about her projects, which paradoxically made her services more in demand. Within a year, she was working less, earning more, and producing her best work ever, all because she learned to say no without feeling the need to justify herself. Then there was Michael, a middle manager at a large corporation. He was known as the go-to guy, the one who would always take on extra work, who would stay late to help a colleague finish a project, who would come in on weekends to tackle the tasks no one else wanted. His colleagues loved him. His boss relied on him. But his health was suffering. His family rarely saw him. And his own career was stagnating because he was so busy doing everyone else's work that he had no time to develop his own skills or pursue promotions. One day, after missing his daughter's piano recital to finish a colleague's report, he realized something had to change. He started saying no to tasks that weren't part of his job description. He started leaving the office at a reasonable hour. He started protecting his weekends. At first, his colleagues were shocked. Some were resentful. His boss was concerned. But Michael stood firm. I'm focusing on my core responsibilities. He would say when asked to take on extra work, no lengthy explanations, no apologies, just a clear statement of his priority. And guess what? Within a few months, something remarkable happened. His colleagues started handling their own work. His boss started distributing tasks more equitably. And Michael found that not only did he have more time for his family and his health, but he was performing better in his actual job because he wasn't spread so thin. 2 years later, he got the promotion he'd been wanting, not despite setting boundaries, but because of it. His boss told him, "You've shown that you can prioritize effectively and manage your time." Exactly the skills we need in a senior leader. These stories aren't unique. They're repeated every day as people discover the power of saying no without over-explaining. And the benefits go beyond just the individual. When you learn to say no effectively, it creates a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. Think about it. When you say yes to everything, you're not just harming yourself. You're also enabling others to avoid responsibility. You're allowing them to offload their work onto you. You're making it possible for them to continue making unreasonable requests because there's no consequence. But when you start saying no, something changes. They have to find another solution. They have to take responsibility. They have to adjust their expectations. And often that leads to growth for them too. I once worked with a team where one person, Lisa, was doing the work of 3 people because she couldn't say no. When she finally learned to set boundaries, her colleagues initially floundered. They had become dependent on her saying yes to everything. But over time, they adapted. They became more self-sufficient. They learned new skills. They found more efficient ways to work. And the team as a whole became stronger, more balanced, more effective. When you say no appropriately, you're not just protecting yourself. You're contributing to a healthier... The same is true in families. When one person is always saying yes, always taking on more than their fair share, it creates an imbalance. Others may become entitled, expecting that person to always be available, always willing to help, always ready to drop everything for their needs. But when that person learns to say no without guilt or excessive explanation, the family system rebalances. Others step up. Responsibilities are shared more equitably. And often, the relationships improve because they're based on mutual respect rather than one-sided sacrifice. So you see, learning to say no without explaining yourself isn't selfish. It's not just about protecting your time and energy, although that's important. It's also about creating healthier, more balanced relationships and systems around you. It's about being honest about your capacity, your priorities, and your boundaries. And that honesty is a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone in your life. So where do we go from here? How do we move forward on this path to freedom through decisive action? First, recognize that changing a habit takes time. If you've been over-explaining your no's for years, don't expect to change overnight. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories. Each time you say no without launching into a lengthy explanation, you're making progress. Second, start small. Practice saying no in situations where the stakes are low. Decline a minor social invitation. Say no to a small request at work. Build your confidence gradually before tackling the bigger, more challenging situations. Third, surround yourself with supportive people. Find friends, colleagues, mentors who understand the importance of boundaries, who will encourage you when you falter, who will remind you why you're making these changes, who will model healthy boundary setting in their own lives. Fourth, remind yourself regularly of the cost of saying yes too often. Remember the goals that remain unfulfilled, the dreams that remain deferred, the parts of yourself that remain unexpressed because you're too busy meeting everyone else's needs. Fifth, focus on the positive. Saying no isn't just about what you're rejecting. It's about what you're making space for. Every no to something that doesn't align with your priorities is a yes to something that does. Keep your eyes on what you're gaining, not just on what you're giving up. And finally, remember that this is a journey, not a destination. You won't do it perfectly. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns, when you say yes when you should say no, when you find yourself launching into a lengthy explanation for a simple refusal. That's okay. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to become more conscious of your choices, more intentional about how you spend your time and energy, more respectful of your own boundaries. And each time you say no, without feeling the need to justify yourself, you're moving closer to that goal. So I challenge you today. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your priorities, try saying no without explanation. Just a simple, respectful, "I'm sorry, but I won't be able to do that." See how it feels. Notice the urge to explain, to justify, to make excuses, and then resist it. It might be uncomfortable at first. It might feel strange or even wrong. But remember, discomfort is often the price of growth. And the freedom that awaits you on the other side of that discomfort is worth it. Because when you learn to say no without explaining yourself, you reclaim your power. You take back control of your life. You create space for the things that truly matter to you. And in doing so, you don't just change your schedule, you change your life. So go ahead, say no. And keep your explanation to yourself. Your time, your energy, your life belongs to you. And you don't need anyone's permission to protect what's yours. Learn to say no. In our bustling world, the echo of yes often drowns out the quiet power of a no. We're led to believe that the right answer, the polite answer, is always yes. Yes to extra tasks, yes to time-consuming commitments, and yes to the pressures that stretch us thin. But let's pause and think for a moment. What happens when we're always saying yes? Our back gets overloaded, doesn't it? Just like trying to carry too much weight, our shoulders sag and our energy dwindles. Consider this, saying no is not about being unkind or selfish. It's about being selective. Being selective means choosing what's right for you, for your growth and for your well-being. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying, "This is where I stand." Have you ever felt the weight of regret from all? Yes, that should have been, no. Maybe it was agreeing to a project you had no time for or attending an event you didn't care about. It's a common tale, one that stretches across the fabric of our daily lives. But what if I told you that the art of saying no is one of the most powerful tools for personal empowerment? Imagine, for a moment, how it feels when you're overcommitted. You're rushing from one task to another, spreading yourself too thin. And at the end of the day, what do you have left for yourself? Very little, I'd wager. Now, let's flip the script. When you say no to things that don't align with your values or goals, what happens? You gain back time energy and the freedom to choose what truly matters to you. But how do you say no without feeling guilty? Without worrying about letting others down? It starts with understanding your own value and the value of your time. Every no offers a hidden gift. The gift of opportunity to say yes to something else something that might be more meaningful and fulfilling. I want to share a story with you. There was once a young man eager to make his mark in the world who said yes to everything. He thought this was the key to success. Before long, he found himself exhausted, disillusioned, and frankly unhappy. One day, he met an old wise man who saw his distress and told him, "Young man, why carry stones you don't need on your journey?" This simple question struck a chord. He realized that not every request, every opportunity needed his Nessa. By learning to say no, he started to shape his own path, focusing on what truly mattered to him. And in this focus, he found success, and more importantly, happiness. Now let me ask you, what stones are you carrying that you don't need? What commitments are weighing you down, keeping you from soaring to your highest potential? It's time to reassess, to reflect on what's truly important. Remember, every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. In the end, it's about balance. It's about making informed choices that align with your personal and professional life. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a wise person. Wise enough to know your limits, wise enough to focus on your growth, and wise enough to understand that in the word "en," there's a powerful affirmation of your own worth and values. So, my friends, let's embrace the strength of saying no. Let's not overload our backs with unnecessary burdens. Instead, let's walk with purpose, with clarity, and with the freedom to choose the paths that lead us to a more fulfilling life. Remember, it's not about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. In our lives, the choices we make are like seeds we plant. Each decision, each yes and no, is a seed that grows into the future we live in. But in our eagerness to grow a lush garden, we sometimes forget the power of choosing not to plant certain seeds. We say yes to everything, trying to be everything to everyone. And before we know it, we're lost in a forest of obligations, unable to see the sky through the leaves. Now consider the impact of a single no. It's like clearing a space in the forest, giving yourself room to breathe, to see the sun, to choose what else you want to grow in that space. This is the philosophy of choice. Understanding that every yes and every no shapes the landscape of our lives. Let me ask you this. How often have you said yes when every fiber of your being wanted to say no? We've all been there, haven't we? We say yes because we want to be liked, we want to be helpful, or we fear missing out. But every time we do this, we make a little trade. We trade a piece of our potential, our dreams, and our happiness for the fleeting satisfaction of others. But imagine the possibilities when you exercise the power of saying no. You create the time and space for the things that truly matter to you. This isn't just about refusing things you don't want to do. It's about making a conscious decision to prioritize your personal and professional development. Think about it in the context of work. When you're clear about your goals and priorities, saying no becomes easier. It means you're not just being busy, you're being productive, you're not just filling your time, you're investing it in your future. And what happens then? You develop as a professional, you gain respect for your time and skills, and you open doors to opportunities that align with your aspirations. Let's talk about personal development too. Saying no is crucial here. It's about setting boundaries that protect your time, energy, and emotions. It's about knowing your worth and not compromising it for anyone or anything. This might mean saying no to social events that drain you, to habits that hinder you, or even to people who don't add value to your life. Here's a story that I find quite enlightening. There was a woman, let's call her Sarah, who was known in her community as someone who could never say no. She volunteered for every task, attended every meeting, and always put others' needs above her own. Over time, Sarah became exhausted and lost her sense of purpose. One day, she decided to say no to a request that she usually would have accepted. At first, she felt guilty, but then something miraculous happened. She found she had time to pursue a passion she had neglected for years. Painting. Sarah's opened the door to a world of color, joy, and personal fulfillment she hadn't known she was missing. This story illustrates that saying no isn't about being negative or selfish. It's about making choices that nurture your soul and lead you to a fuller, more vibrant life. It's about crafting a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. So, my friends, as we navigate the choices of our lives, let's not underestimate the power of no. It's a complete sentence, a statement of intent, and a declaration of independence. It's about taking control, steering your life in the direction you want it to go. Now, I'm not advocating that you turn down every request or opportunity that comes your way, but I'm encouraging you to be selective, to choose wisely, and to remember that every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. Let's embrace the philosophy of choice with open arms and clear minds. Let's recognize that in the grand tapestry of life, each thread of no is as crucial as the threads of yes. Together, they create a picture of who we are and what we value. In our life, saying yes too often can weave a pattern of stress and overcommitment, entangling us in a web of responsibilities we never intended to bear. Let's ponder on this. Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill of yeses, constantly accelerating to keep up with the pace of your commitments? It's a common scenario, and it leads to a path where balance is lost and personal limits are ignored. Let's dive into a story about a man named Tom. Tom was a go-getter, the kind of person who never turned down a request. He believed that by saying yes, he was proving his worth, climbing the ladder of success. But here's what happened. Tom became the RS minus man of work, always taking on extra projects, always the one volunteering for overtime. Initially, it brought him recognition, but as time passed, the quality of his work diminished due to the sheer volume of his responsibilities. His health suffered, his relationships waned, and his stress levels soared. Tom had fallen into the yes trap where the fear of missing out and the desire to please others overrode his sense of self-care and balance. Now think about your own experiences. Have you ever felt like Tom, stretched so thin that the joy of life begins to seep away, leaving you exhausted and unfulfilled? This is the consequence of our ways saying. It leads to a life out of balance, where stress becomes a constant companion and personal fulfillment is a rare guest. But let's not dwell on the negatives without seeking solutions. The key is to understand the importance of balance and knowing your limits. Balance is not about having a static life. It's about having the flexibility to adjust, to know when to say yes and when it's crucial to say no. It's about understanding that you can't be everything to everyone and that sometimes you need to prioritize your own needs and aspirations. Consider the example of Lisa, a talented artist who loved to help her community. She used to say yes to every charity event, every community project, even when it meant sacrificing her time for painting, her true passion. Over time, Lisa realized she was losing her essence, her identity as an artist. She started to say no, not out of selfishness, but to reclaim the time she needed for her art. This shift didn't make her less generous. It made her more authentic and happier. Her art flourished, and ironically, she was able to contribute more significantly to her community through her renewed creativity and success. So how do we find this balance? It begins with self-awareness, with recognizing and respecting your limits. It's about listening to your inner voice, that quiet guide that tells you when enough is enough. When you honor your limits, you're not being selfish. You're being wise. You're ensuring that you can give the best of yourself to the tasks and people that matter most. Now, let me ask you, saying, what are the things that truly matter to you? Are you giving them the time and energy they deserve, or are they being crowded out by a multitude of yes-induced commitments? It's a question worth pondering, because in the answer lies the key to a more balanced, fulfilling life. To navigate this journey, consider adopting a simple practice. Before saying yes, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? Can I commit to this without sacrificing my well-being? This pause can be the difference between a life of stress and a life of fulfillment. Learning to say no is like tending a garden. You must decide what plants to grow, how to allocate your resources, and when to prune the excess to ensure everything thrives. In life, like in gardening, making these decisions requires understanding, practice, and a set of practical steps. Let's delve into how we can cultivate this skill to ensure our garden, our life. Firstly, recognize the power of your choice. Every time you're faced with a request, remember, it's an invitation, not an obligation. This mindset shift is crucial. You're not at the mercy of others' demands. You're in control, steering your ship in the direction you choose. Now, when a request comes your way, pause and consider its alignment with your goals and values. Ask yourself, does this fit with what I'm trying to achieve in my life? Does it resonate with what I hold dear? If the answer is no, then your decision becomes clear. You're not merely rejecting a request. You're honoring your path and priorities. Let's talk about understanding your bandwidth. We all have limited time and energy. Knowing your limits is key to maintaining balance. Before saying yes, evaluate your current commitments. Can you take on more without sacrificing your well-being and existing responsibilities? If you feel stretched thin, it's probably time to say no. Now, here's a practical step. Practice saying no in low-stakes situations to build your confidence. It could be as simple as declining an extra helping of dessert or opting out of a minor social event. These small acts of refusal strengthen your no muscle, preparing you for bigger, more significant denials when the stakes are higher. Communication is another vital aspect. Saying no doesn't mean being harsh or dismissive. It's about expressing your refusal clearly and respectfully. You might say, I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit to this right now. This way, you're not closing the door on future opportunities. You're merely stating your present limitations. It's also helpful to offer alternatives when saying no. If you can't take on a request, maybe you know someone who can. I can't help with this, but I know someone who might be the right fit. This approach shows you're still supportive and resourceful, even if you're unable to fulfill the requirement. Now, let's consider the fear of missing out, or FOMO, a common reason people struggle to say no. It's the worry that turning down an opportunity means losing something great. But remember, by saying yes to everything, you dilute your focus. Sometimes missing out is actually a gift. It frees you to invest in what's truly important. Remember, too, the importance of self-reflection. Regularly take time to assess your commitments and priorities, what's working, what's not. This ongoing evaluation ensures you're always aligned with your goals and values, making it easier to decide what deserves your yes and what warrants a no. Let me share a story about a man named Michael. He was a community leader, always busy, always involved. He said yes to every project, every request, until one day he realized he was neglecting his own health and family. Michael started to use these practical steps, assessing each request against his personal goals and available bandwidth. He learned to communicate his no's effectively, offering alternatives when possible. Over time, Michael reclaimed his time and health, and his relationships improved. He still contributed meaningfully, but in a way that was sustainable and fulfilling. GP. In the fabric of personal growth, the threads of now weave patterns of opportunity and self-discovery. Saying no might seem like closing the door, but in reality, it's about opening the windows to a world aligned with your true self. It's about creating space for growth, for new experiences, and for the profound journey of becoming who you are meant to be. Consider this. Every time you say no to something that doesn't resonate with your core values, what are you really doing? You're saying yes to your priorities, to your passions, and to the journey of personal fulfillment. This is the power of no's in personal growth. It's not a denial, but an affirmation of your path and purpose. Now, let's delve deeper. When you say, oh, you carve out time and space to explore, to learn, and to engage with what truly matters to you. This is where the magic happens. This is where you grow. For instance, when you decline an invitation that doesn't excite you, you free up an evening to spend on a project, you're passionate about, to learn a new skill, or simply to rejuvenate. But what are the benefits of focusing on what truly matters? Clarity, for one. You gain clarity about what you really want in life. This clarity fuels your decisions, guiding you towards experiences and opportunities that enrich your life and broaden your horizons. Imagine a life where you do things not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to participate and contribute. This is the life that Saying Nog can help you create. It's a life where you're not overstretched and overwhelmed, but energized and enthusiastic about your commitments because they truly matter to you. And here's an intriguing aspect of saying no. It often leads to respect from others. People begin to recognize your time and energy as valuable. They see that you have priorities and commitments that you honor deeply. This respect can open doors to meaningful connections and opportunities that align with your values and aspirations. Let me share a story about a woman named Clara. She was a busy professional, always taking on new tasks and projects, fearing that saying would halt her career progress. But as her responsibilities piled up, her performance started to wane and her passion dimmed. One day, Clara decided to start saying no to projects that didn't align with her core interests. Initially, she worried about the repercussions, but something incredible happened. Her focus improved, her work quality soared, and she discovered a love for mentoring others. Clara's career didn't suffer. Instead, it flourished in ways she had never anticipated. So, my friends, let's reflect on our own lives. Are we like Clara, stretched thin by the myriad yeses we've accumulated? What could we achieve? What depths of ourselves could we explore if we started saying nah to what doesn't serve us? Embracing the power of no is about more than just reclaiming time. It's about rediscovering who we are and what we love. It's about making conscious choices that lead to a richer, more fulfilling life. And yes, it requires courage, clarity, and sometimes a leap of faith. Consider the tale of Emily, a marketing executive known for her can-do attitude. Emily's willingness to always say yes propelled her early career success. However, it also led to burnout. Her health and personal life suffered as she juggled countless projects. The turning point came when Emily, exhausted and disillusioned, finally said no to a high-profile but time-consuming project. This decision was met with surprise, but also respect from her peers and superiors. With this newfound respect and control over her workload, Emily's career took a positive turn. She achieved better work-life balance, leading to improved health and happiness. Her story teaches us that saying no can sometimes be the most powerful step toward achieving true success and well-being. Then there's the story of Mark, a small business owner. Mark prided himself on being accommodating, always saying yes to client requests no matter how unreasonable. This eagerness to please nearly cost him his business as he overextended, leading to missed deadlines and unhappy clients. Realizing the precariousness of his situation, Mark began to evaluate requests more critically, learning to say when necessary. This change not only saved his business, but also earned him greater respect from clients who valued his honesty and boundaries. Mark's experience shows that saying no can build credibility and lead to healthier, more sustainable professional relationships. Lastly, let's talk about Anita, a volunteer coordinator for a local charity. Anita's inability to say I don't know meant she was constantly overwhelmed. Her passion for charitable work overshadowed by stress and fatigue. When she started selectively committing to projects that aligned with her skills and interests, Anita found her enthusiasm reignited. Her strategic no allowed her to contribute more effectively, leading to significant achievements for the charity and a more fulfilling personal life. Anita's journey illustrates that saying no can lead to more meaningful and impactful engagement in activities we love. These stories of Emily, Mark, and Anita show us that learning to say no is not about turning away opportunities, but about choosing the paths that lead to personal and professional fulfillment. It's about prioritizing what truly matters and aligning our actions with our values and capabilities. a day in your life like any other, yet it's distinct in its revelation. On this day, you come to a realization that alters your entire outlook. It's the day you truly comprehend the significance of time, this continuous, relentless flow in which we all swim. This day stands out because you grasp that time is not just ticking away, but it's being actively spent, consumed by your actions and decisions every moment of every day. Let's talk about time, not merely as the ticking of a clock, but as the very essence of our existence. Every moment we live, every breath we take is a testament to time's passage. We all share this, the affluent and the needy, the young and the aged. Time is the great leveler, impartial and inexorable. And herein lies its greatest value. It is irreplaceable. There's an analogy I like to use about time. Imagine it as a river flowing ceaselessly. You can stand on its banks and observe its flow, but once it passes, it's gone. Each moment of our lives is like that. Unique, irreplaceable, a droplet in the river of time. What makes time so valuable is not its relentless progression, but the unique opportunities it presents us with, opportunities that once gone are gone forever. It's a currency that's continuously being spent, whether we're engaged in the hustle of life or simply observing from the sidelines. Our time on this earth is like being given a treasure chest filled with jewels, each jewel representing a moment. How we use these jewels, these moments, will define the richness of our lives. Do we let them slip through our fingers, unappreciated and unutilized? Or do we craft them into something of beauty and value? The way we talk about time reveals much about our perception of its value. Phrases like, "I don't have time for this," or "I wish I had more time," are common in our vocabulary. They acknowledge the scarcity of time. Yet the irony is that we all have the same amount of time each day. Yet it's how we choose to use these hours that differentiates a life well lived from one merely existed. As we venture through our discussion today, let us shift our perspective on time. Let's not view it as a resource that's slipping away, but as a series of moments that we have the power to shape and mold. It's about transforming each moment into a stepping stone towards the life we aspire to lead. So, as we continue, let's focus not just on the passage of time, but on the essence of each moment. Let's explore how we can harness these moments, making the most of this relentless yet generous gift that life offers us. Remember, it's not about the number of breaths we take, but the moments that take our breath away that truly count. Let's make each of these moments matter. GPT. In the unfolding narrative of our lives, time is the silent observer, the unsung hero in our personal stories. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. The true value of time lies not in its relentless march forward, but in the unique moments that it offers us, moments that once gone are gone forever. Time, in its essence, is the fabric from which we cut the cloth of our lives. Consider for a moment the nature of time. Unlike money, it's a resource that once spent cannot be earned back. The minutes and hours that slip through our fingers are like sand in an hourglass, each grain a precious moment of our life. And once these grains fall, they are beyond our grasp, lost to the infinity of time, therefore demands a certain reverence, a respect that we often reserve for scarce resources. Yet paradoxically, time is the most generous and the most miserly of gifts. It gives us each the same 24 hours in a day, impartial and unyielding. But how we use these hours, that's where the true value of time comes into focus. The way we spend our time can be likened to a craftsman working on a delicate piece of art. Each stroke of his brush, each chisel on the wood shapes the final outcome. Our daily actions, choices, and decisions are these strokes and chisels, shaping the masterpiece that is our life. Are we crafting a work of art that brings us joy, fulfillment, and pride? Or are we aimlessly smudging the canvas leaving an indistinct and muddled impression. I don't have time for this, or I wish I had more time. These phrases are testament to the scarcity and value of time. But the irony is that we do have time. We all have the same amount in a day. Yet it's how we choose to allocate it that makes all the difference. It's not about having time. It's about making time for things that truly matter. And what about the moments we waste? The times we spend on trivialities that neither enrich our souls nor advance our purposes. These are the moments that we must learn to identify and transform. It's about converting the idle into the ideal. It's about looking at a seemingly mundane moment and asking, how can this contribute to my growth, my goals, my journey? Now consider the role of time in shaping our destinies. It's often said that time heals all wounds, but time also cultivates wisdom, builds character, and forges resilience. The passage of time can turn a moment of decision into a lifetime of difference. A single moment, carefully utilized, can become the turning point in our lives. Let's not forget, time is also the great revealer. Given enough of it, our true priorities, our values, and our heart's desires come to the surface. It's like a river that slowly but surely carves its way through the toughest of rocks, revealing the path that it's meant to take. Our lives, too, are shaped by the steady flow of time, revealing who we are and what we truly value. So as we move through this dance of time, let us do so with intention and purpose. Let's treat each moment as a precious gift, not to be squandered, but to be used wisely, purposefully, and with gratitude. For in the end, the way we spend our time is, indeed, the way we spend our life. In this journey, time is not just a passive observer. It is an active participant. It's the silent partner in every decision we make, in every dream we chase, and in every goal we set. Understanding and valuing time is the first step in mastering it, in bending this formidable force to our will and our vision. So, as we continue on this journey, let us carry with us a newfound respect and understanding for time. Let it not be an enemy that we fight against, but a companion that we walk with, hand in hand towards the future we wish to create. In the grand scheme of our lives, every moment counts. Let's make sure they count for something meaningful. Navigating through the journey of life, understanding the essence of time management is akin to mastering the art of sailing in the vast ocean of existence. It's about setting your sail in the right direction, harnessing the winds of your daily hours, and steering clear of the pitfalls we just discussed. Let's unfold the principles of effective time management, principles that are not just strategies, but life philosophies. The first principle is prioritization. It's about recognizing that not all tasks are created equal. Life, much like a garden, has both flowers and weeds. Prioritizing is understanding what to water and what to pull out. It's about identifying your big rocks, the tasks that hold immense value, and placing them in your schedule first. Everything else revolves around these big rocks. Then comes the principle of goal setting. Without goals, time management is like a rudderless ship. Goals give us direction, a destination to reach. They are like stars guiding a sailor through the night sea. Steady, clear, achievable, and measurable goals creates a roadmap for how to spend our time. Ensuring each day contributes to reaching these milestones. Let's also talk about the difference between being busy and being productive. There's a vast sea between the two. Being busy is like running on a treadmill. It gives the illusion of progress, but gets you nowhere. Being productive, on the other hand, is like running a marathon with a finish line. It's about making sure that your activities are not just filling time, but adding value to your life. Another key principle is the discipline of consistency. It's easy to be a flash in the pan, but it takes discipline to be the steady flame. Consistency in your daily routines, habits, and efforts compounds over time. It's like planting a tree. Day-by-day growth may seem insignificant, but over the years, you'll have a sturdy oak standing tall. Effective time management also involves the art of saying no. It's a simple word, yet so powerful. Saying no to distractions, irrelevant demands, and time wasters creates the space to say yeses to what truly matters. It's about making choices that align with your priorities and goals. Remember, every yes is and shapes the sculpture of your life. In the realm of time management, self-awareness plays a pivotal role. It's about understanding your peak productivity periods, your strengths, and your limitations. Some of us are morning larks, others night owl. Aligning your tasks with your natural rhythms amplifies your efficiency. It's about rowing your boat with the current, not against it. Let's not forget the importance of rest and rejuvenation. It might seem counterintuitive, but sometimes the best way to manage time effectively is to take a step back. Rest is the bow that strings the arrow of productivity. Taking breaks, engaging in leisure activities, and getting adequate rest are not time wasted. They are investments in your greatest asset. Incorporating these principles into our lives transforms the way we view and use time. It's not about rigid schedules or cramming every minute with tasks. It's about creating a harmonious balance, a rhythm that blends productivity with peace, achievement with contentment. It's about ensuring that our time is not just well spent, but wisely spent. As we embrace these principles, let us remember that managing time is not just about efficiency. It's about living a life that resonates with our deepest values and aspirations. Let's weave these principles into the tapestry of our daily lives, making each thread count. In doing so, we don't just manage time. We elevate it, turning it into a canvas upon which we paint the masterpiece of our lives. In the pursuit of mastering the art of time management, equipping ourselves with the right tools and techniques is like a craftsman carefully selecting the best instruments to bring his vision to life. These tools and techniques are not just methods. They're catalysts for transforming the abstract concept of time into tangible, productive results. One such powerful tool is time blocking. It's a simple yet profound technique where you carve out specific blocks of time for particular tasks or activities. Imagine your day as a series of blocks, each dedicated to a purpose, a block for deep work, a block for creative thinking, a block for rest. This method ensures that important tasks get the dedicated focus they deserve, minimizing distractions and maximizing productivity. Then there's the Eisenhower box, a remarkable technique for prioritizing tasks based on their urgency and importance. It's a matter of distinguishing between what's urgent and what's truly important. Many times we get caught up in the urgency of the moment, losing sight of what we should be focusing on. The Eisenhower box helps us categorize tasks into 4 quadrants, enabling us to focus on what truly moves the needle in our lives. Another valuable technique is delegation. There's profound wisdom in recognizing that you don't have to do everything yourself. Delegation is about identifying tasks that others can do, perhaps even better than you, freeing up your time for things only you can do. It's about trusting others to contribute, creating a symphony where everyone plays their part. Let's also embrace the power of saying no. It's a tool in itself. Being selective about the commitments we take on ensures that our time is not scattered, but focused on what aligns with our goals and values. Saying so, something good allows us to say yes is something great. Now consider the role of technology in time management. While it's easy to get lost in the digital world, technology, when used wisely, can be a boon. Apps for task management, calendars for scheduling, alarms for reminders. These can be powerful allies in our quest to use time effectively. But remember, They are but tools. The craftsman's skill in using them is what truly matters. In this age of constant information and distractions, the technique of mindfulness is like a beacon in the fog. Being mindful means being fully present in the task at hand, fully immersing yourself in the moment. It's about doing one thing at a time and doing it well. It's the antithesis of multitasking, which often dilutes our focus and effectiveness. Let's not forget the importance of regular reflection and adjustment. At the end of each day or week, take time to reflect on what worked and what didn't. This practice is like polishing your tools, ensuring they're always ready and effective. It's about continuous improvement, constantly tweaking your methods to align with your evolving life and goals. As we incorporate these tools and techniques into our daily lives, we transform the way we interact with time. We move from being passive participants in the passage of time to active architects of our days. Remember, time is like clay in the hands of a potter. With the right tools, techniques, and skill, it can be shaped into something beautiful, functional, and enduring. Let's use these tools not just to manage time, but to master it, creating a life that's not just busy, but full, not just productive, but meaningful. In our quest to effectively harness the gift of time, there's a shadow. We often need to step out from under the shadow of procrastination. It's a challenge that's as old as time itself. Procrastination, the art of delaying and deferring, is like a fog that descends upon us, obscuring our path and dampening our motivation. But like any fog, it can be lifted, revealing the clear path ahead. Understanding procrastination is the first step to overcoming it. It often stems from fear of failure, fear of stepping out of our comfort zone, or even fear of success. It's a protective mechanism, but protection from what? From the risks and rewards of a fully lived life. We must confront these fears, recognize them for the shadows that they are, and step into the light of action. One effective way to cut through the fog of procrastination is by setting clear, achievable goals, breaking them down into smaller, manageable tasks. It's like building a bridge across a chasm. You wouldn't try to leap across in one bound. You build it step by step. Each small task completed is a plank in that bridge, bringing you closer to your ultimate goal. Another key to overcoming procrastination is understanding the power of although. The present moment is the only time we truly have at our disposal. The past is a memory, the future a promise. But now is where action occurs. Embracing the present moment, seizing it with both hands, is a potent antidote to procrastination. It's about saying, I may not be able to complete the entire task now, but I can take this one step right now. But what about maintaining motivation? That inner fire that keeps us moving forward even when the path gets steep. Motivation often starts with a vision, a vivid picture of what we're striving to achieve. It's like setting sail towards a destination. If you lose sight of where you're heading, the journey can become aimless and tiring. Keep your destination in mind and let it pull you forward. Surrounding ourselves with sources of inspiration can also fuel our motivation. It could be a book that sparks new ideas, a conversation that opens new perspectives, or a simple walk in nature that clears the mind. Inspiration is like oxygen to the flame of motivation. Without it, the flame flickers and dies. Consistency is also a crucial factor in maintaining motivation. Consistency in our actions, habits, and thoughts builds momentum. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. Difficult at first, but once you reach the crest, the momentum helps carry you forward. Regular revisiting and reflecting on your goals, celebrating small victories, and staying committed to your daily routines all contribute to sustaining this momentum. Let's also remember the role of resilience. The journey towards our goals is rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks and challenges, but it's our response to these challenges that defines our path. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to learn from setbacks rather than be defeated by them. It's an essential component in maintaining motivation over the long haul. As we journey through the landscape of time management, understanding the power of routine and habit formation becomes as essential as knowing how to navigate by the stars in the open sea. It's about creating a compass for ourselves, one that guides us through the daily ebb and flow of life's demands and distractions. Routines and habits are the anchors that provide stability amidst the chaos of everyday life. They are the quiet rhythms that underlie the surface noise, the steady beats that keep our life's music in harmony. Picture for a moment the grand oak tree that stands tall and firm, not just because of the visible strength of its trunk, but because of the unseen depth and spread of its roots. Similarly, our routines and habits are the roots that ground us, giving us the strength to reach upwards and outwards. Developing these routines and habits starts with understanding their transformative power. A habit, at its core, is a pattern acquired through frequent repetition. It's like a path through a meadow. The more it's walked upon, the more defined and easy to follow it becomes. The key is repetition, a commitment to taking those steps every day until they become as natural as breathing. Consider the power of a morning routine. It sets the tone for the entire day. A morning routine might include meditation, exercise, reading, or planning the day ahead. It's like laying the foundation for a building. The strength and stability of the building depend greatly on the quality of its foundation. Similarly, how we start our day often dictates how the rest of it unfolds. Equally important is an evening routine. It's a time to wind down, reflect, and prepare for the restorative power of sleep. It's like gently closing the book of today while bookmarking where we want to begin tomorrow. An evening routine could involve journaling, relaxation techniques, or simply spending time with loved ones. It's the gentle decrescendo to the symphony of our day. But how do we form these habits? It begins with a conscious choice, an intentional action repeated until it becomes an automatic response. It's about starting small with habits that are manageable and achievable. It's like planting a seed. It doesn't require grand actions, just a small, consistent effort and a bit of patience. And patience is key. The beauty of a habit lies in its gradual formation. You can't rush the growth of a majestic tree, nor can you rush the formation of a deeply ingrained habit. It requires time, persistence, and above all, consistency. Let us also recognize that forming new habits is an act of self-compassion. It's about creating an environment where our best selves can emerge and thrive. It's about setting ourselves up for success day after day. In weaving the tapestry of our lives, let's incorporate the threads of routine and habit. These are the threads that add strength and texture to the overall design. They transform our daily existence from a series of disjointed moments into a cohesive, purposeful narrative. With these habits and routines firmly in place, we move through our days with a sense of direction, confidence, and calm, fully equipped to make the most of the time we're given. In the grand symphony of life, achieving a balance between work, personal growth, and relationships is akin to an orchestra playing in perfect harmony. Each element, like a unique instrument, contributes to the melody of our existence. Too often, we become focused on one aspect, letting the others fall out of tune. But to live a life rich in experience and fulfillment, we must learn to strike a harmonious balance. Consider the sphere of work, an area where many of us spend a significant portion of our time. Work is essential, not just for economic reasons, but for personal fulfillment and contributing to society. However, it's crucial to remember that work is a part of life, not life itself. It's like the sun in our solar system vital and powerful, yet it's not the entirety of the universe. On the other side, there's personal growth, a journey that's as vast and varied as the stars in the sky. Personal growth involves nurturing our talents, expanding our knowledge, and exploring our passions. It's about investing time in ourselves, ensuring that we grow in wisdom, skill, and character. This growth is not a luxury. It's essential. It's what keeps our inner fire burning brightly, illuminating our path and guiding our journey. Then there are relationships, the gravitational force that holds our personal universe together. Relationships with family, friends, and loved ones provide us with support, joy, and a sense of connection. They're like the planets in our solar system, each unique and valuable, orbiting around the central sun of our lives. Nurturing these relationships is as crucial as any career achievement or personal milestone. Balancing these aspects requires conscious effort and thoughtful allocation of time. It's about setting boundaries and knowing when to say enough in one area so you can attend to another. It's not about dividing your time equally, but about dividing it wisely. Each day, week, and month, assess where your time is needed most and adjust your focus accordingly. Imagine your life as a garden. Your work, personal growth, and relationships are the different plants and flowers within it. Some need more attention than others at different times. A thriving garden requires regular tending, and so does your life. It's about nurturing each aspect, giving it the time and attention it needs to flourish. Remember, achieving balance is not a one-time task, but a continuous process. It's about being flexible, adaptable, and responsive to life's changing rhythm. It's also about forgiveness and understanding. Forgiving ourselves when we falter and understanding that perfection is not the goal. Balance is. This journey of understanding and mastering time is not just about managing our days. It's about embracing the full spectrum of experiences that life has to offer. It's about seeing time not as an adversary, but as an ally in our quest to live a life rich in meaning and purpose. Think of life as a grand book with each day a new page. We hold the pen, and with it, we have the power to write a story that resonates with our deepest aspirations and values. Each chapter we've discussed, from overcoming procrastination to balancing work, personal growth, and relationships, is a guide to help you write your story with intention and clarity. Remember, the essence of time management is not in the ticking of the clock, but in the moments that make the clock worth watching. It's in the laughter shared with a loved one, the satisfaction of a job well done, the quiet contentment of personal reflection and growth. These moments, strung together, form the tapestry of a life well lived. As we part ways, take with you not just the strategies and principles discussed, but the spirit of embracing each day as a gift. Let's not count the days, but make the days count. Let's create a life that, when we look back, we can say with pride and satisfaction, I lived fully, I loved deeply, and I made a difference. Life, in all its complexity and beauty, is waiting for us to step forward and claim our place in its unfolding story. Let's approach each day with a sense of wonder, a thirst for learning, and a heart open to the possibilities that lie ahead. In the dance of life, there's a rhythm we all seek, a harmony between the quick-paced beats of our daily endeavors and the gentle hum of tranquility. In this ever-evolving world, where each day presents a new challenge, a new puzzle, the art of staying calm emerges not just as a skill, but as a necessity. It's like navigating a ship through a storm. The waves may toss and turn, but the captain's steady hand and unwavering focus guide the vessel safely to harbor. Consider the world around us, a world bustling with activity, where change is the only constant. In such a world, calmness is akin to a rare jewel, precious and all too often, hard to find, yet its value is immeasurable. To be calm is not to be passive or indifferent. It is to embrace a strength that lies within a quiet power that doesn't roar loudly but asserts itself, gently influencing not only our actions but also the very fabric of our being. Now, one might wonder, in a society that values action, dynamism, and often relentless pursuit, why place such importance on calmness? The answer lies in understanding the nature of our journey through life. Our days are filled with tasks, goals, aspirations, and amidst this ceaseless striving, our inner peace can easily be lost. Yet it is in these moments of serenity that we find clarity, a clarity that guides our decisions, enriches our relationships, and enhances our overall well-being. Imagine a scenario where everything around you is in a state of upheaval. Emotions run high, tensions mount, and the air is thick with uncertainty. In such moments, the ability to remain calm is not just useful. It becomes your greatest ally. It's a quality that allows you to assess situations with a clear mind, respond with thoughtfulness, and navigate the complex tapestry of human interactions with grace and dignity. Calmness also manifests in the way we handle our personal challenges. Life, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't always give us smooth sailing. There are times when we find ourselves in the midst of a tempest where our dreams and hopes seem to be battered by the relentless winds of circumstance. It's in these moments, in the eye of the storm, that calmness becomes our refuge, a sanctuary where we can retreat, gather our thoughts, and emerge stronger, ready to face what lies ahead with renewed vigor and resolve. Remember that it is not about suppressing our emotions or denying the challenges we face. Rather, it's about cultivating an inner resilience, a balance that allows us to meet life's complexities with composure and confidence. It's about finding that quiet space within us, that center of stillness that remains undisturbed, even when the world around us is in chaos. As we venture further into the depths of understanding, let us consider the essence of calm and its profound impact on our lives. Calmness, often perceived as a passive state, is, in fact, a dynamic and powerful. It's the silent river that carves canyons in its unwavering journey, shaping landscapes with a persistence and grace that loudly declares its presence despite its quiet flow. To truly grasp the power of calm, we must first understand what it means to be calm. It's not the absence of turmoil, nor is it an evasion of activity. Calm is the poised and centered state of mind that faces the storm, yet doesn't get swept away by it. It's the ability to see through the fog of chaos and keep your vision clear, your thoughts focused, and your actions deliberate. Calmness is the inner strength that says, despite the whirlwind around me, I stand firm, unwavering, and resolute. The benefits of cultivating this calmness are both physiological and psychological. In a world where stress is often a common denominator, disrupting our health and peace, calmness emerges as a healing balm. It lowers our heart rate, eases our breath, and brings a sense of peace to our body. This tranquility isn't just a fleeting moment of relief. It's a profound state that enhances our overall well-being, reducing anxiety, and increasing our capacity to cope with the challenges that life throws our way. But how does one cultivate such a state? It begins with the mind. The human mind, like a garden, requires care, attention, and above all, the right environment to flourish. When you sow seeds of positivity, nurture thoughts of strength and resilience, and weed out the tendrils of worry and fear, you create a mental landscape where calmness naturally grows. It's in this garden of the mind that the flowers of peace, clarity, and wisdom bloom. Let's consider real-life examples where calmness has not only been beneficial, but has been the cornerstone of success. Picture a surgeon poised over a patient, where precision is not just a requirement but a necessity for life. In this high-stakes environment, it's the surgeon's calmness that guides their hand, ensuring that each incision is made with accuracy and care. Or think of a leader navigating a company through the troubled waters of economic uncertainty. It's their calm demeanor that inspires confidence, fosters a sense of stability, and steers the team towards success. Calmness, however, is not a trait reserved for the few. It's a skill that can be developed and honed by anyone willing to embark on this journey of personal growth. It's about embracing moments of quiet reflection, practicing mindfulness, and learning to respond to life situations rather than react. It's about understanding that while we cannot control the external events of our lives, we can control our internal reactions to them. In practicing calmness, we also learn to value the power of pause. A pause allows us to step back, assess situations objectively, and choose our actions wisely. It's in these pauses that we find our true power, the power to choose, to change, and to create the outcomes we desire. Calmness also teaches us about balance, like a tightrope walker skillfully navigating the thin line between 2 points. We learn to find our equilibrium. It's not about avoiding life's difficulties. It's about facing them with a centeredness that prevents us from falling into despair. It's about walking that line with confidence, knowing that each step is taken with purpose and poise. As we continue to explore the nuances of staying calm and handling every situation, it's essential to remember that calmness is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and growing. It's about building an inner sanctuary of peace that we can always retreat to. No matter the chaos that surrounds, turn our attention to a crucial aspect that significantly shapes our experiences and outcomes: the distinction between reaction and response. In life's intricate tapestry, every thread of action we weave has its place, influencing the pattern that eventually emerges. This is where understanding the ripple effect of our actions, whether they are reactions or responses, becomes pivotal. Consider for a moment the nature of reaction. A reaction is often immediate, driven by the emotions of the moment without the filter of thought. It's like a spark that ignites quickly and fiercely, but often burns out just as fast, leaving behind a trail of regret, confusion, and sometimes chaos. Reactions are reflexive without the pause that gives us room for contemplation. Picture a lake serene and still. Throw a stone into it impulsively, and it disrupts the calm surface with ripples that extend far beyond the point of impact. Such are the consequences of our reactions, far-reaching and often unintended. But let us contrast this with the idea of a response. A response, unlike a reaction, is measured. It comes from a place of calm deliberation, where the heat of emotion has been cooled by the waters of rational thought. Responding is like carefully placing a boat in that same lake and gently rowing it across the surface. There is movement, there is progress, but it is controlled, purposeful, and leaves the surrounding calm undisturbed. The power of a measured response cannot be overstated. In the heat of conflict, a calm response can diffuse tension. In the face of criticism, a thoughtful response can turn hostility into constructive dialogue. When we respond, we take ownership of our actions, understanding that while we may not control every situation we encounter, we certainly control how we choose to address them. Let's delve into the dynamics of how our reactions can escalate situations. Imagine a disagreement that begins with a harsh word, a word uttered in a moment of uncontrolled emotion. This word is like a spark that ignites a flame of anger in another, leading to a back and forth of heated reactions. Before long, what started as a small disagreement escalates into a conflagration, consuming all sense of reason. and understand. Now imagine if that first harsh word was met not with a reaction, but with a calm response. The flame is not fed. It finds no fuel to grow. The situation remains contained, manageable, and far less likely to spiral out of control. But how does one cultivate the ability to respond rather than react? It begins with self-awareness, a keen understanding of our own emotions and triggers. It's about recognizing that moment of choice that exists between stimulus and action. In that fleeting interval lies our power to choose, to decide how we will let this moment define us. Will it be through an uncontrolled reaction or a composed response? Developing this ability is akin to building a muscle. It requires practice, patience, and persistence. It's about consciously choosing to pause when our instinct is to immediately react. It's about asking ourselves in that moment of choice what outcome we desire and whether our immediate reaction will lead us there. Crafting a response rather than a reaction involves empathy. It's about trying to see the situation through the eyes of others, understanding their perspectives, their feelings, and their motivations. This doesn't mean we agree with them, but rather that we acknowledge their humanity, just as we acknowledge our own. As we advance in this exploration, let's remember that the journey to mastering the art of response over reaction is ongoing. It's a path that we walk every day in every interaction. There will be moments when we stumble, when our reactions get the better of us. But let that not deter us. Instead, let each moment be a lesson, a stepping stone towards greater self-mastery. Explore practical strategies to cultivate calmness. This tranquility, much like a garden, requires nurturing and care. The seeds of peace must be sown with intention, and the soil of our minds tended to with diligence. In this part of our journey, we delve into these practices, understanding that the cultivation of calmness is not just an act, but a habit, a continuous endeavor that shapes our very existence. The first step in cultivating calmness is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being present, fully engaged with the here and now. It's not about rehashing the past or fretting over the future, but about living in this very moment, embracing its fullness. Imagine you're walking through a garden, observing every flower, feeling the texture of each leaf, and inhaling the fragrance of the blooms. That's mindfulness, a total immersion in the present experience. This practice can be applied to every aspect of our lives, from eating and walking to listening and speaking. When we are mindful, we give full attention to our current actions, thoughts, and feelings, allowing us to respond to life with clarity and purpose. Another potent strategy is meditation. Often misunderstood as a complex spiritual ritual, meditation, it is the act of quieting the mind, finding that inner stillness that lies beneath the surface noise. Meditation can be as straightforward as focusing on one's breath, observing thoughts as they come and go without judgment, or repeating a calming word or phrase. The beauty of meditation lies in its adaptability. It can be practiced anywhere, anytime, by anyone. The key is consistency. Like a river that gently shapes the rock through persistent flow, regular meditation gradually shapes the mind, leading to greater calm and resilience. Let's not overlook the power of daily habits and routines. The structure of our daily lives can significantly impact our inner state. A chaotic, haphazard routine often leads to a restless mind, while a structured, purposeful routine can provide a sense of peace and control. This doesn't mean every minute must be scheduled, but rather that we have a harmonious blend of activities that nourish us, be it physical exercise, engaging in hobbies, or spending time in nature. These activities act like anchors, keeping us grounded amidst the day's turbulence. Communication also plays a crucial role in cultivating calmness. The way we interact with others can either raise or lower our stress level. Practicing assertive communication, expressing our needs and feelings honestly and respectfully helps prevent misunderstandings and conflicts that can disrupt our peace. Listening actively to others, giving them our full attention, and responding with empathy can also enhance our relationships, creating a more harmonious environment around us. Developing a positive mindset is equally crucial. Our thoughts have a profound impact on our emotions and behaviors. By consciously focusing on the positive aspects of our life and practicing gratitude, we can shift our mental state from one of lack and frustration to one of abundance and contentment. This doesn't mean ignoring the challenges we face, but rather viewing them through a lens of learning and opportunity. In addition to these practices, it's important to recognize the power of environment in influencing our state of calm. Surrounding ourselves with people who uplift us, seeking out peaceful and pleasant environments, and creating a personal space that reflects tranquility can significantly enhance our ability to remain calm. As we integrate these strategies into our lives, we begin to notice a shift. Calmness starts to weave itself into the fabric of our daily existence, not as a distant goal, but as a living, breathing part of who we are. This calmness then becomes our default state, from which we operate with clarity, purpose, and joy. As our exploration deepens, we find ourselves at the heart of one of life's most valuable lessons: handling challenges with grace and poise. Life, in its unpredictable nature, throws a myriad of challenges our way. These challenges, much like the unpredictable weather, test our resolve, our flexibility, and our ability to navigate through the stormy waters with our calmness intact. Now, let us consider the nature of these challenges. They come in various forms: as obstacles in our career paths, as turbulence in our personal relationships, or as unexpected setbacks in our health and well-being. But irrespective of their form, the key lies in how we handle them. The art of handling challenges is akin to a skilled sailor maneuvering a boat in a raging storm. He does not curse the storm. Instead, he respects its power and uses his skill to sail through it. One of the first techniques in maintaining composure in the face of adversity is perspective. Perspective is the lens through which we view life's events. It can turn a mountain into a molehill or a molehill into a mountain. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, in the grand scheme of life, how significant is this? Often we magnify problems in our mind, giving them more power than they deserve. By adopting a broader perspective, challenges become less intimidating and solutions more apparent. Let's not forget the power of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks. Resilience is not an inborn trait, but a skill developed through experience. Every time we overcome a difficulty, we emerge stronger, more capable of facing the next one. Like a tree that bends in the wind but doesn't break, our resilience allows us to face challenges head-on, learn from them, and move forward with increased strength. Another key aspect in handling challenges is our attitude towards failure. Failure, often seen as a negative outcome, is in fact a stepping stone to success. It's a teacher like no other, providing valuable lessons that cannot be learned from victory. When we change our attitude towards failure, seeing it as a part of the learning process, it loses its power to dishearten us. Instead, it becomes a motivator, pushing us to try again with more insight and determination. Handling challenges with grace also means maintaining our integrity and values, regardless of the circumstances. It's easy to remain true to our principles when things are going well, but the real test comes when we're under pressure. It's in these moments that our true character shines through. By staying true to our values, We navigate through challenges not only with grace, but with honor. Communication plays a crucial role in handling challenges. Often the way we communicate in difficult situations can either escalate or alleviate the problem. By practicing calm, assertive, and empathetic communication, we can express our views and concerns without creating additional conflict. This approach fosters understanding and collaboration, turning potential confrontations into opportunities for problem solving. In the face of challenges, self-care becomes even more crucial. It's easy to neglect our well-being when we're focused on solving problems. However, taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental health gives us the strength to handle these challenges more effectively. This means getting enough rest, engaging in physical activities, eating healthily, and taking time for activities that rejuvenate our spirit. As we integrate these approaches into our lives, we will find that handling challenges becomes less about enduring hardships and more about growing through them. We learn that every challenge carries with it a lesson, an opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement. We've traversed the landscape of calmness, understanding its nuances and seeing how it can profoundly shape our experiences and define our responses to the myriad situations life presents. Now, as we draw this exploration to its natural close, it's time to reflect on embracing calmness, not just as a concept, but as a way of life, a continuous thread that weaves through the very fabric of our existence. Embracing calmness as a way of life is like choosing to navigate your ship with a steady hand and an even keel. Even when the ocean roars and the winds howl, it's a decision to remain anchored in tranquility. This doesn't mean ignoring the storm's power or pretending the waves aren't high and treacherous. It means acknowledging them, but choosing to sail through with poise and determination. A life of calm is not a path of least resistance. In fact, it often requires more strength than letting ourselves be carried away by the currents of chaos and confusion. It means consciously pausing to breathe when every fiber of your being urges you to react impulsively. It's about gently reminding ourselves that while we may not control the external forces in our lives, we certainly have a say in how we let them affect us internally. Think of this path as a garden, your personal oasis of tranquility. Cultivating this garden doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily nurturing, tending, and sometimes even pruning. Each morning, as you wake up to a new day, remember that you have the seeds of calm within you. Plant them with your thoughts, water them with your actions, and give them light with your intentions. Over time, you will see the garden of your inner peace flourish and bloom, offering you refuge and strength, regardless of what's happening outside its wall. In embracing calmness, remember that it's not about silencing the cacophony of life. Life will always be a symphony of joy, sorrow, challenges, and triumphs. Instead, it's about finding your rhythm in this symphony, playing your notes with clarity and harmony so that even in the most tumultuous of movements, your part is played with grace. As you move forward, take this calmness with you. Let it be your companion in times of stress and your guide in moments of confusion. When faced with decisions, big or small, let this calmness be the lens through which you view your options and choose your path. And in moments of success and joy, let calmness amplify these experiences, allowing you to savor them fully with a heart full of gratitude and a mind free from clutter. Embracing calmness as a way of life is one of the most empowering choices you can make. It's a commitment to yourself to live with intention, to react with thoughtfulness, and to lead a life that's not only reactive to external circumstances, but proactive in creating internal peace. As you step back into the rhythm of your daily life, carry this calmness with you. Let it be the undercurrent that runs through all your actions and interactions. In doing so, you'll find that life becomes not just something you endure, but something you cherish, with each moment offering a chance to live, to learn, and to grow on this beautiful journey. Today, I am here to share something vital. Imagine, if you will, a man named John. Each day, John wakes up at the same time. His alarm clock always set for 6:30 a.m. His morning routine is timed to perfection. A quick shower, or a brief breakfast, and a cup of coffee sipped while reading his favorite book. He then takes the same route to work, driving through familiar streets, greeted by the same sequence of traffic lights turning from red to green as if on cue. At work, John performs his tasks with a rehearsed efficiency, rarely deviating from a set list of duties. After work, he returns home, eats dinner, watches a couple of episodes of the latest popular TV show, and then goes to bed, only to repeat it all over again the next day. This routine, comfortable and unchallenging, is John's comfort zone. It's a place where predictability reigns and uncertainty is kept at bay. In his world, there are few surprises, and while this might sound ideal, it is a double-edged sword. On one side, comfort. On the other, confinement. Now, why do we nestle into these patterns that so rigidly define the boundaries of our lives? It's simple. Comfort zones provide a state of mental security. When we stick to what we know, the risks are few and the rewards are predictable. But what remains unseen, often unconsidered, is what these safe routines cost us. The cost is measured not in the immediate repercussions, but in the long-term opportunities that are never seized. In the comfort zone, life is smooth, but it is the smoothness of a road never turning, never rising, and never descending. To step out of this comfort zone is to step into a world rich with potential and fraught with the possibility of failure, a thought that many find paralyzing. Yet it is precisely in these uncharted waters that we find the treasures of personal growth and success. When we challenge ourselves to venture beyond the familiar, we unlock new capabilities within ourselves, encounter new ideas, and open the doors to new opportunities that were previously beyond our reach. Let's consider the power of stepping out through the story of Lisa, a woman who, like John, was once cocooned in the safety of routine. Lisa was an accountant, well-versed in her day-to-day task, but silently harboring dreams of running her own bakery. Baking was Lisa's passion, a hobby that brought her joy and comfort. However, the thought of leaving a well-paying, stable job to pursue a dream filled with uncertainties kept her from taking that first step. It was the fear of stepping out of her comfort zone that held her back. But when the company she worked for downsized, Lisa took it as a sign to reevaluate her path. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, she decided to finally pursue her dream. Lisa's leap into the unknown was fraught with challenges. There were days filled with doubt and nights filled with worry about the sustainability of her new venture. But there were also moments of triumph that she would never have experienced had she remained cloistered in her previous job. Her bakery soon became a neighborhood favorite, a testament to what is possible when we dare to step beyond the familiar. In telling these stories, I urge you to reflect on your own comfort zones. Consider the potential that lies dormant, waiting for you just beyond the boundaries of your current routines. Embrace the possibility of failure as a stepping stone to success, for it is often through what we initially perceive as setbacks that we grow and learn the most. Let us not be content with the world as we know it. Let us dare to make it what it could be. By stepping out of our comfort zones, we take control of our lives, steering ourselves towards success and fulfillment that we could only imagine in the safety of routine. Let us delve into the concept of the comfort zone, that familiar bubble in which many of us live our lives, sheltered from the unpredictable winds of change. Picture this as the realm of our daily routines, the well-trodden path we navigate with our eyes closed. It's where predictability rules, providing us the comfort of knowing exactly what to expect, when, and how. This zone is not merely a physical space, but a mental fortress we construct to shield ourselves from the discomfort of the unknown and the unease of uncertainty. Why then do people cling to their comfort zones with such tenacity? It boils down to the basic human instinct for survival. In the early days of our existence, sticking to what was known helped keep our ancestors safe from physical dangers. This primal instinct has evolved into a psychological one. Our brains, magnificent organs geared towards efficiency, manage our energy by automating tasks into routines, turning the complex into the simple. This process, while energy-saving, can lead us to tread the same path every day, both literally and metaphorically, even when other routes might lead to grander vistas. The comfort zone is seductive. It whispers promises of safety and ease, lulling us into a state of complacency. It is crafted by our habits, those daily rituals and repeated behaviors that carve deep ruts in the roads of our lives. Each time we choose the familiar over the novel, the comfort zone expands its territory in our minds, reinforced by the fear of what lies beyond its borders. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and the overarching fear of the unknown act like guardians at the gates, warding off the adventurous part of our spirits that seeks to break free and explore. Consider the case of Michael, a middle-aged man who had worked in the same company in the same role for over 2 decades. His expertise in his job was undeniable, and yet there was an underlying current of dissatisfaction that tugged at him. Michael had ideas for innovative projects that could potentially revolutionize his department. However, he held back, his fear of disrupting the status quo silencing the voice that urged him to act. His comfort zone had become a gilded cage, providing security and stability, yes, but at the cost of stifling his potential for growth and innovation. On the other hand, let's reflect on Sarah, a young graphic designer at a small firm. Her comfort zone consisted of working within established design guidelines, never venturing beyond the boundaries set by her clients' expectations. The thought of proposing bold, unconventional ideas was daunting to Sarah, conditioned as she was to operate within a sphere of predictability. Yet, when a new client came on board with a penchant for the avant-garde, Sarah was thrust out of her comfort zone. Initially overwhelmed, she soon found that this departure from her norms ignited a creative spark she hadn't realized she possessed. This challenge transformed her career, setting her on a path filled with richer opportunities and greater self-confidence. These stories underscore a critical truth. The comfort zone, while offering a refuge from stress and risk, also poses a significant barrier to personal and professional growth. By yielding to the fear of the unknown, individuals like Michael and Sarah, before her turning point, risked missing out on key opportunities that could lead to substantial advancements in their careers and personal lives. The comfort zone promises ease, but at a price. The dynamism of life, which thrives on change, challenge, and growth, is dampened. Breaking free from this comfort zone requires more than just a desire for change. It necessitates a willingness to confront and embrace the discomfort that inevitably comes with new experiences. It involves recalibrating our relationship with fear, transforming it from a signal to retreat into a motivator to advance. As we push the boundaries of what we believe is safe, we not only expand our horizons, but also discover new reserves of resilience and adaptability within ourselves. In conclusion, while the comfort zone can provide temporary shelter and respite, it should not be where we live our lives. Instead, it should serve as a launching pad from which we leap into the unknown, equipped with a spirit of adventure and an openness to the lessons that await. The true richness of life, after all, lies not in the safety of the familiar, but in the growth that comes from venturing beyond it. In the quiet landscape of the familiar, where every day resembles the last, there exists a deceptive sense of security. Here, in this comfort zone, individuals like many of us find solace in routine and predictable outcomes. Yet beneath this comfort, there lurks a series of risks, subtle but insidious, that can stymie our growth, both personally and professionally. The seductive ease of the comfort zone often lulls us into a state of complacency, where the desire for safety outweighs the drive for exploration and learning. Over time, this stagnation begins to manifest. It's like the slow tightening of a vine around a tree. It might not be noticeable at first, but gradually it constricts all growth. In professional terms, this might mean sticking to familiar tasks and projects, avoiding new responsibilities or challenges that could lead to significant breakthroughs or advancements. As a result, skills languish, innovation stalls, and personal development plateaus. Consider the story of Anna, a talented marketing executive with a knack for creative campaigns. Her comfort in her current role led her to turn down opportunities that involved public speaking or leading larger teams, roles that would have positioned her for senior leadership. Over time, as the industry evolved and demanded more dynamic leadership skills, Anna found herself overlooked for promotions, her earlier decisions to stay comfortable limiting her career trajectory. Missed opportunities extend beyond promotions and career advancements. They include the chance to shape industries, lead change, and make impactful decisions. For instance, let's reflect on a tech company that had the potential to innovate a new product. The team, however comfortable in their routine operations, shied away from the risks associated with venturing into new tech territories. As they hesitated, a competitor seized the opportunity, launching a similar product that revolutionized the market. The tech company not only missed out on potential profits, but also on establishing itself as a leader in innovation. The long-term consequences of remaining in comfort zones can be profound. For many, the realization comes too late. The understanding that life was spent in the shallows when the depth was where the true treasures lay. This can lead to a profound sense of regret and dissatisfaction, feelings that echo through personal life, affecting relationships and personal well-being. A life lived without risk is often safe, but it might lack the richness that comes from overcoming challenges and celebrating hard-won successes. Moreover, the avoidance of risk and its impact on personal satisfaction and professional achievements often cycles back to influence the organizational culture and societal qualities that foster environments where taking risks is discouraged may find themselves struggling to keep up with more agile, innovative competitors. Societies that do not encourage stepping out of comfort zones may stifle their own cultural and economic development. In the grand narrative of life, those who challenge their comfort zones often find that the risks they take not only propel them forward, but also enrich their experiences. They are the ones who, at the end of their careers, can look back with the satisfaction of knowing they truly explored their potential, pushed their boundaries, and contributed meaningfully to their fields. Thus, while the comfort zone offers a respite from the anxiety of the unknown, it also holds us back from truly seizing the day and living our lives to the fullest. It is a subtle trap, one that promises ease at the cost of experience. To step out of the zone, one must first recognize its confines and then muster the courage to step beyond them, embracing the uncertainty that comes with it. Only then can we fully explore the breadth of our capabilities and experience the true joy of discovery and achievement. To step out of one's comfort zone is to engage in a deliberate act of bravery, an embrace of the unknown, and a willingness to transform it into a wellspring of opportunity. It is in these acts that we often discover not just what we are capable of, but also the abundant rewards that come from daring to disturb the waters of routine. Personal development blossoms in the fertile soil of challenge. When you challenge yourself, you do more than just learn new skills. You test and expand the boundaries of your existing capabilities. This growth is not merely academic or theoretical. It is intensely practical and deeply transformative. For instance, learning a new language might begin with difficulty, but each new word, each new phrase enriches your mind and offers you a new lens through which to see the world. Similarly, a professional who shifts from a technical role to a managerial position might struggle initially with leadership duties, but will gradually learn the nuances of team management, conflict resolution, and strategic planning. This journey, filled with its trials and errors, significantly enhances one's confidence and competence. The path of personal challenge also leads to increased adaptability, a crucial skill in today's ever-changing world. In navigating new territories, whether they are physical, intellectual, or emotional, you learn to expect the unexpected. You become more proficient in adjusting your strategies, shifting your perspectives, and coming up with innovative solutions on the fly. This agility is invaluable as it transforms potential obstacles into stepping stones, enabling you to traverse even the most turbulent waters with grace and resilience. Numerous success stories echo the immense benefits of stepping out of comfort zones. Consider the tale of a young woman named Clara, who left a secure corporate job to start her own business in the arts, turning her passion into her profession. The transition was fraught with uncertainty, financial instability, long hours, and even public skepticism. However, through perseverance and a relentless pursuit of her vision, Clara was able to build a thriving business that not only fulfilled her creative aspirations, but also provided her with a deeper sense of accomplishment and autonomy than she had ever experienced in her previous roles. Another inspiring story is that of David, who had always feared public speaking due to a stutter he had since childhood. When promoted to a role that required regular presentations, David initially considered turning down the position. Instead, he chose to confront his fear, enrolling in speech therapy and public speaking courses. Over time, David not only overcame his stutter, but also became an influential speaker within his organization, known for his compelling and persuasive presentation. His career trajectory sharply ascended, and he attributed his success to the decision to face rather than flee his fear. These narratives, and countless others like them, illustrate a fundamental truth. The journey beyond one's comfort zone is often arduous, but the rewards can be profoundly life-changing. It is on this journey that latent talents are unearthed, resilience is forged, and a renewed sense of purpose is ignited. As we consider the value of stepping into the unknown, let us remember that the greatest rewards often require us to take the greatest risks. By daring to leave behind the familiar and venture into the uncharted, we open ourselves to the full potential of our lives. We become participants in a broader and more vibrant human experience, enriched not just by what we achieve, but by what we become in the process. The journey to step beyond one's comfort zone does not necessarily require monumental leaps. Often, it is the smallest steps that lead to the most significant changes. The essence of this transformation lies in the everyday decisions to do something slightly different than the day before. It's about making incremental changes that cumulatively steer us away from the well-worn paths of our habitual lives. Consider the power of small, manageable challenges. Suppose you were accustomed to a certain way of doing things, whether in your personal habits or professional tasks. By altering just one aspect of your routine, taking a different route to work, trying a new recipe, or even rearranging your office space, you ignite a spark of change that can light up new thoughts and new enthusiasm. These small steps serve as experiments in courage, each one building your confidence to take on larger challenges. Setting clear, achievable goals is pivotal in this process. Goals act as beacons, guiding us through the fog of the unknown. When you articulate what you wish to achieve, even if it seems a modest ambition, you create a vision of a future that differs from your present. This vision becomes a motivating force, driving you forward. Each goal achieved is a victory over the inertia of comfort, reinforcing the belief in your ability to grow and succeed beyond your current boundaries. Seeking new experiences plays a crucial role in broadening one's horizons. Life offers a rich tapestry of possibilities, but often we see only a small part of it from the windows of our comfort zones. By stepping out into new experiences, traveling to unfamiliar places, attending workshops in new fields, or simply engaging with diverse groups of people, we expand our understanding of the world and our place within it. Each new experience is like a thread woven into the fabric of our character, adding depth, color, and strength. Moreover, the journey out of the comfort zone is significantly enhanced by actively seeking feedback and engaging in reflection. Feedback, whether it comes from peers, mentors, or even from our own successes and failures, provides objective insights into our performance and progress. It serves as a mirror showing us our strengths to build upon and our weaknesses to address. Reflection complements this by allowing us to internalize what we learn, to think deeply about our experiences, and to consciously integrate these lessons into our future actions. For instance, imagine a young professional giving their first presentation. The experience might be daunting, fraught with nerves and self-doubt. However, by seeking feedback from colleagues and reflecting on their own feelings during the presentation, they can glean insights into how to communicate more effectively, manage their anxiety, and improve their performance. The next presentation they give will be informed by these reflections, and each subsequent attempt will further refine their skills. This iterative process of action, feedback, and reflection creates a powerful cycle of learning and growth. Each step out of the comfort zone is informed by the last, making the path forward clearer and the journey less daunting. It transforms what could be a sporadic venture into a sustained journey of personal evolution. In essence, breaking out of your comfort zone is less about a singular act of bravery and more about cultivating a mindset of continuous growth. It's about recognizing that each day offers opportunities for small acts of courage. By embracing these opportunities, setting clear goals, seeking new experiences, and learning from feedback, you don't just step out of your comfort zone. You expand it. You redefine your limits, and in doing so, you redefine yourself. This journey, though, filled with challenges, is one of the most rewarding endeavors one can undertake, for it leads to a fuller, richer, and more successful life. In the pursuit of stepping beyond our comfort zones, the initial burst of enthusiasm and triumph can be exhilarating. However, the true challenge, and indeed the true measure of success, is in sustaining this momentum over the long haul. This endurance demands continuous learning, resilience, and a robust network of support. Continuous learning is the fuel that keeps the fires of ambition and curiosity burning. In a world that evolves at an unprecedented pace, the acquisition of knowledge cannot be overstated. Education and skill development are not merely activities to be completed, but ongoing processes that enrich our understanding and enhance our capabilities. Whether it's through formal education, self-study, or practical experience, the commitment to never stop learning is what keeps us moving forward. It ensures that we remain relevant and competitive in our fields and enriches our personal lives by constantly presenting new challenges and opportunities for growth. However, the path is not always smooth. Setbacks are an inevitable part of any journey that ventures into new territory. Building resilience, the ability to bounce back from these setbacks, is crucial. Resilience is not inherent. It is forged in the fires of adversity. It involves developing a mindset that views failures not as insurmountable roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Each setback provides invaluable lessons that, if wisely heeded, pave the way for smarter and stronger results. Consider the entrepreneur whose first business venture might falter. Armed with the hard-earned lessons from this experience, their subsequent endeavors are more informed and adept. This resilience transforms potential despair into determined resolve, ensuring that each fall, however hard, is followed by a stronger rise. Supportive relationships play a critical role in this journey. Humans are inherently social beings, and our connections can either propel us forward or hold us back. A network of supportive relationships, be they mentors who guide us, peers who journey with us, or friends and family who cheer for us, provides not just comfort but a crucial sounding board. These relationships offer diverse perspectives that can challenge our biases and complement our strengths. They provide emotional sustenance and practical advice, helping us navigate the complexities of our endeavors. Moreover, maintaining a supportive network also means engaging in a give-and-take relationship. Just as we benefit from the support of others, we also contribute to their journeys. This reciprocity enriches our relationships, creating a community of mutual growth and support. It's about celebrating each other's successes and providing comfort in times of failure. For instance, a professional network group can share resources and opportunities that benefit all members, while friends and family provide a grounding reminder of what truly matters when the allure of ambition becomes overwhelming. Sustaining momentum, therefore, is about more than just persistence. It's about nurturing the mind with continuous learning, fortifying the spirit with resilience, and surrounding oneself with a network of support that both inspires and grounds us. This holistic approach ensures that our steps out of the comfort zone are not just temporary excursions, but part of a sustained journey of growth and achievement. In essence, the journey out of our comfort zones and into a life of expanded potential and fulfillment is ongoing. It is a dynamic process that requires us to learn continuously, withstand setbacks, and cultivate supportive relationships. Each element is crucial, and together they ensure that our momentum is not a fleeting surge, but a steady, enduring march towards our highest aspirations. Thus, let us commit to this journey with the fullness of our dedication, embracing each challenge not just as a test, but as a testament to our resolve to live truly transformative lives.